This is Arts Alive. I'm Lynda Phillippi, and my guests today are Barbara Jelinek, Carol Burnett, and Jule Gradek, and they are here to talk about Humble Boy, which opens at the Gallery Theater on August 5th. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glad you could tear yourselves away from rehearsal to be here today. And maybe, Barbara, you'd like to start by telling us about the play.
Well, unfortunately, people don't know what this play is about because it's been produced in many little theaters, in Albany, Oregon, for one. But if you go online, you'll find Humble Boy opened in London in 2001, and it had Diana Rigg in the part that Jule is playing.
Okay.
And which, most people know Diana Rigg. And then it received critical reviews, just raving about it, and also the public voted it their favorite play of the year, People's Choice, by Charlotte Jones, who kind of burst on the scene, a very prolific young writer. Well, it came to New York in 2003 and had the same success in New York. Lots of critical awards, and the people loved it. And I think the people who've seen it, there are a few people who saw it at the Shakespeare Festival, as did we some years ago. And then we saw it at ART in Portland. And we liked it both times, and we kept talking about it. We choose the plays that we want to do. And never did it. And so for this final play in our career, we chose it. And we thought, this is a play that's different from any other. It's the story of a middle-aged astrophysicist, young middle-aged astrophysicist, Felix Humble. And there are a lot of plays on words in this clever play. And he has been summoned by his imperious mother, played by Jule, to give the elegy at his father's funeral. And he comes and cannot quite force himself to do it. Not only does he have a stutter, but he feels as though he has not related to his father, and he's been away for 7 years, deliberately been away for 7 years, an absence. He finds that his mother has thrown out the bees, which his father, a beekeeper and science teacher at a girls' high school, has kept, and also all the father's clothes. And so, as he says, there's an absence, and he's quite resentful, and so there's this great friction between them, and that's most entertaining. And he's trying to discover the connection between Einstein's theory of relativity and this string theory, which will connect everything in the universe, as he tells one of the characters. And she says, "Oh, I think that would be just wonderful." And he's not been successful. Well, Einstein never was successful either. But he feels as though he's very unsuccessful, and his mother echoes this. You've grown fat, unkempt, and you're not successful. And so he has those things to overcome. Well, we start with that. Okay. And we start in a beautiful garden. I noticed that you have, as the opening for your program, you have this beautiful garden. Well, we do too. The set is beautiful. It's flowers, many, many flowers in the patio of a Cotswold house. And, of course, the garden. Everything began in a garden, Adam and Eve, and leading to the galaxies and the universe. So that's the underlying theme of this play. Intriguing, huh?
Absolutely. No, I heard you say this is your final play. Are you sure?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So you two, do you always collaborate as directors?
Not always,
okay.
But we have about 20 times, so I guess you could say most of the time.
Usually, okay.
Well, Carol likes to say at this point also, well, we both have to be in on it, because who knows if one of us won't be left standing.
Okay.
Well, we've been saying that for about 10 years.
Kind of an insurance policy. So I know that you two have directed many plays together in the past. How is this one? Does it feel a little different? I mean, does it kind of bittersweet knowing, well, at this point, assuming it might be your last?
It may be that one is trying to think of something and it takes the other one to actually come up with it.
Okay.
That's the difference in it after a few years of doing this instead of us all remembering the words.
Oh, okay, I see. So now tell me a little bit then about maybe casting the play. Aside from Jule, the fabulous leading lady here, who else is in the play, or what are some of the other characters?
Well, Jule, why don't you just read the list of characters that you have in your little cheat sheet there?
Well, I think Barbara and Carol's strength is their continuing contribution to our community as actresses. Barbara is an actress. I've actually been on stage with her before. And also their connection in this community, because Ben Frum is the set. You know, he builds a set to last like Noah's Ark. Too bad they have to be torn down. That's his, I would say, his nemesis there. Shelley Gowell has been doing all of the set design as far as the actual flowers and putting the garden together. So their acumen of people in this community to draw into this show is what made it so wonderful.
Nice, okay.
And also their knowing of the actors and actresses in our community to draw from in order to make this so.
Always on the alert for new ones, though. It's not that we just choose the old tried and true. And forget the old there.
Yes,
the
yes,
tried
forget
and
the
true.
old. But Janelle Denton plays Mercy, who is kind of like my next-door neighbor, Payne, not really appreciated woman who has also helped raise my son Felix through the years. And my son is played by Robert Austerhaus, and his wife is also a very talented woman in herself because she is the stage manager. So she does a fabulous job. Very intelligent woman. And Robert is a delight on stage. I thoroughly enjoy him as my son.
He's not your typical leading man.
No.
You know, he's as he says, look at me, I'm fat, I'm balding, and he's supposed to be. And his nuances are great.
Oh, he's wonderful. And then Walt Gall plays my said lover. Excuse me, Walt Height plays my said lover. And
You know he's going to see this.
I know he is. And Walt has just been he's worked together, not in the theater, but I've enjoyed him as a character because he is a character in his own right.
And he plays your beau.
He plays my lover, not my beau.
Oh, okay.
There is a difference.
Okay.
And then
This upsets Felix the son
Yes.
when he discovers this.
And I think the part for me, which has been the gallery profile, is there are new people in this show that I have never met before. I think Norm, and I cannot pronounce his last name, Taganasi?
Tonya Nazzini.
Tonya Nazzini. He plays my husband, my deceased husband, and then Carrie Tricky plays, and she works at Timmerick's, and she plays the ex-girlfriend of my son. The would-be kind of would have had been if they had really had a relationship other than what they did have, daughter-in-law. So she's Rosie. So bringing those new profiles in, I think, is exciting for me, and meeting new people. It's not just the same, and I think what Barbara's echoing is right there. It's I want to say the advantage of having community theaters. It brings a lot of people together.
Well, one thing I know we can say that you've acted over the years in many, many gallery productions.
No, not many, just many.
Many, many.
No,
very many.
Some very good ones.
But it has spanned a number of years, and so how is this role different for you? What is this character like?
Well, let me put it this way. I'm a woman in theater. I'm a woman in my own right in this community. I've been in business by myself and around our community. So walking through these different roles, starting with the women, Philadelphia Story, Cat in a Hot Tin Roof, it's really played different personalities that have experienced in my life. And not to get too specific, but this is about an aging woman and her dealing with how she looks at herself and how she looks at her family, how she looks at her world, and her frustration.
Words, no commonality whatsoever.
Absolutely not.
Got it. So this was a
Lynda, you wouldn't have related either at all.
So this is a huge stretch for you, obviously.
Yeah, and I think that's why Barbara and Carol, when they saw it, they saw the universality of this, all the characters, every single one of them.
Yeah, and also it is a deucedly clever play. I like that aspect of it. There are, as I said, puns. Humble pie. George Humble, Felix Humble and George Pie. And he has a coaching business or, private buses. And what's his little slogan? Fly with pie. And so we've got flying pies, and the father kept bees.
So it's humble.
Rhymes with humble
Humble
and
boys
bumble.
and bumblebees.
You know, and she has a great deal of very subtle fun with this sort of stuff, you know, very overlapping kinds of delights in this play.
Well, the emotions really soar. They can go high, they can go low. For actors and actresses, I know it does that. And I'm hearing what minimal audience we have, which is Barbara and Carol, to hear their reactions out there. When things are really funny, they are really funny. I mean, and it's like it kind of just drops in out of the blue how Miss Jones has put this show together. They're not, you really don't know what to expect when you're watching the characters evolve, because there's a lot of angles to them.
You know, this is kind of interesting because I've heard other directors say this, that, you know, maybe after getting a little bit of audience feedback or the rehearsal or opening night, that sometimes the laughs come in places you don't expect. You know,
Always.
and maybe it has to do with the way somebody sort of inhabits that character, the role, or delivers the line that makes it funny. And
It's
on
a lot
paper,
more about the person that's in the audience, and because it affects different people in different ways. And
that's always kind of interesting, isn't it? Is it humorous or poignant, or, you know, all of the
It's
above?
all these things. And as a matter of fact, when Janelle Denton is playing Mercy in her the grace that she gives before the meal begins, there's a little meal that she's prepared, is the funniest monologue I have ever in all my years in the theater heard. And she does it with consummate artistry. Didn't have one single direction that we gave.
And thank goodness we have rehearsals that we could all get the giggles out.
Yes. You're very good about this. Everybody is listening to her respectfully.
Well, I got the giggles
She's
out,
this
though.
earnest little person, you know, and she's telling about all her woes in addition to invoking God to bless the meal, you know, and not you, Felix. I know you can't believe in God because you're a scientist.
Okay, yeah.
Lines like that, you know.
It's always good to have somebody like Janelle, because she's sort of that real understated character that just shines in that sort of a role.
Yes,
you know?
she's going
we
to.
really didn't have an idea to cast it in that way until we saw her, because when we've seen it, she isn't the
She
type
isn't
of
that
person
bright.
that has played it.
Oh, really?
So
we
we
have a
saw her come in
unique-
and audition, and it was just charmed us.
Oh, how
So we made a little change.
Of course,
in
all
our
the
idea.
women that haven't been chosen probably will say, well, Janelle's over the top. But she lends so much to the play, and
She's just charming.
It's consistent, and it's a really refreshing thing. There's a lot of anger in this play, too. It's played out, including a fight with garden tools.
Ooh, okay. A real get into it kind of fight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Walt is choreographing the fight.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they choreographed it themselves. And also, Walt is a wonderful kind of, a little bit sleazy character, you know. And he's a person who doesn't aspire to be intellectual at all, and he's kind of misplaced here. And he smiles a lot, you know, and dances. When you first see him coming in, has a Walkman on, the great big earphones, and he's dancing to his own music and drumming on the empty beehive. And then he whirls Flora, and she says, I can't hear anything. And he says, you don't need to hear anything. I can dance. And so he's very amusing, but he's also, at times, very serious.